closing statements by both sides. Breakdown shot and killed Boehm at Downs' home on Holloman Road in Port Lavaca on April 9, 2022. The shooting happened in a separated garage. One family member was inside the home asleep at the time of the fatal shooting. Downs will become eligible for parole after serving 15 years of his 30-year sentence. Reporting live from the Calhoun County Courthouse, Trenton Whiting, KAVU-TV, 25 News Now.
Trenton, thank you. The Victoria ISD Superintendent Search Community Survey is now open to the public. We have that link at crossroadstoday.com. The Victoria ISD is also inviting community members to take part in public meetings to help select a new superintendent. One more meeting takes place on Monday, August 19th at Mission Valley Elementary. And now let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Well, we're just going to have to grin and bear it because we're looking at very hot weather all the way through the next 7 days. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, Debbie's continuing to be a problem. In fact, it went out to sea, strengthened up a little bit. It's a little disorganized right now, but the path of it takes it northbound, and it will be dropping tremendous flooding rains all the way up to New York State, maybe on even into Canada. We'll have all that coming up in just a few minutes. Karina?
Mac, thank you. A standoff with a barricaded person was underway in North Texas after a deputy was shot while serving a warrant Wednesday afternoon. Officials say the Tarrant County deputy was shot 3 times while serving a warrant in Haltom City, but that it appears the deputy's injuries weren't life-threatening. The deputy was in stable condition. That's according to officials. The standoff was ongoing with a barricaded person at the last check. Haltom City Police have asked people to stay away from the area and for those in the area to shelter in place. A Purple Heart ceremony is about to begin in Port Lavaca. It starts at 5:30 at the VFW at 16 Nard Road. Red, White, and Bulls is hosting the ceremony. The nonprofit raises awareness for disabled veterans and first responders. Now, Tropical Storm Debbie is back over the Atlantic, where it's regaining strength and lashing states along the East Coast.
North Carolinians should take this storm seriously and make sure you're ready.
The Carolinas are in the crosshairs right now. Debbie is churning at around 5 miles per hour just offshore, getting stronger in warm Atlantic waters. Its wide reach, dumping rain and deepening floodwaters along North and South Carolina coast, threatening a storm surge up to 3 feet above normal high tide.
Please listen to local officials and follow evacuation orders if they are issued.
Officials want residents out of the way when Debbie makes its second projected landfall between Myrtle Beach and Charleston sometime before Thursday morning.
The wind was howling. I was pretty scared, honestly.
You heard that little rumble, then all the transformers started popping, trees started going down.
Many tourists and locals along South Carolina's coast know what's coming. They rode out Debbie's high winds and at least one confirmed tornado Tuesday.
Yeah, you can see it coming right down, right through our yard, almost through these 2 houses right here.
Storms spawned by Debbie are already lashing parts of the Northeast.
It's like a whoosh, and everything just completely was gone off the garage.
Everything was all over the place. It was kind of chaos for a minute.
Forecasters say several dozen river gauges from Florida through the Carolinas could soon exceed moderate or major flood levels and possibly stay that way into next week, delaying much needed recovery efforts.
The death toll in Florida and Georgia stands at 5 people, while Virginia's governor has already declared a state of emergency. Tonight, Warriors Weekend will honor American heroes wounded in action in a Purple Heart ceremony. It takes place at the Field of Honor today at 6:30. That's going to be August 7th. Again, this is National Purple Heart Day. Now, the Texas Virtual School Network is expanding its course catalog to support school systems and implementing the Middle School Advanced Mathematics program for grades 6 through 8. With this program, you can confidently grow your district's mathematics offerings and meet the needs of your students. Visit our Twitter page, known as X, at Crossroads Today to view this tweet. So here is your viewer poll this afternoon. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, how do your children use technology for school? Is it homework and research, online classes, educational apps, or social media and communications? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Now, here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The season ends for the sand crabs, and law enforcement makes 14 weekly arrests. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Boar's Head is now facing a potential class action lawsuit after a deadly listeria outbreak linked to its deli meats. The lawsuit, filed in a New York district court on August 1st, says the company misled its consumers by not properly warning them of the contamination in its initial July 25th recall. That recall involved 200,000 pounds of its ready-to-eat meat and deli meat products. The recall was expanded days later to include 7 million pounds of its meat products. 34 illnesses have been reported in 13 states. That's including 2 deaths. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News now at 5, a 911 Pentagon deal is scrapped, why the defense is criticizing the decision. Also ahead, how RFK Jr. qualifies for the Vermont ballot and secures access in 13 states. Secretary Lloyd Austin's decision to revoke an agreed plea deal for an alleged 9/11 conspirator crime is being criticized by defense counsel. Walter Ruiz, representing Mufasa Ahmed Adam, calls the cancellation of the agreement corrupt and rigged. Last week, the Pentagon announced pretrial agreements with Ahmed and others. Ruiz said the deal followed 2 years of talks in good faith. However, criticism from lawmakers led Austin to withdraw on Friday. Now, across the country, the use of force is under scrutiny. One of the latest incidents to draw outrage involves not police, but people who worked at a Milwaukee hotel. They're now charged with murder.
Amid nationwide scrutiny of use of force, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office is charging 4 people with felony murder for the death of Devontae Mitchell in June.
There was nothing stopping them from charging these people from day one.
His widow says she's glad for the charges, but wanted them earlier.
They're charging them with the obvious. We all seen the videos. We've all heard the audio.
That video shows then employees of the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Milwaukee violently dragging Mitchell outside and holding him down. The charging documents name 2 security members, a front desk agent and a bellman. They accuse them of causing Mitchell's death, quote, while committing misdemeanor battery. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner calls the incident a homicide and also notes effects from cocaine and meth.
What caused his death was the fact that 4 people beat him to death on a sidewalk and jumped on top of him for 15 minutes. That is why he's dead.
An investigation report says hotel security responded when Mitchell ran into a women's bathroom.
My son was standing there with his hands up like this.
His mother says she believes he had a mental health episode inside the Hyatt.
Do your job. We need convictions.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Neither the defendants nor the prosecutors returned requests for comment by deadline. In a statement, the DA's office noted the four are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. qualified for Vermont's presidential ballot after his campaign received double the amount of signatures needed to qualify. Kennedy gained ballot access in 13 additional states, including Michigan, Tennessee, and California. RFK Jr. is eligible to receive 158 electoral votes worth of states, but still short of the 270 needed to actually take office. Heading back to school can be exciting, but chances are students are feeling more than just one emotion. That in itself can bring its own challenges.
To the classroom, it can be a tough transition for anyone, especially those who have never done it before.
When a child's going to school for the first time, it can be really hard for everyone.
Licensed therapist Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says new and unfamiliar things can be scary for both a parent and their first-time student. She says you can help your child succeed by tackling unknowns, arm them with social skills.
Having other kids come over, setting up play dates where they can just interact and play and practice those skills of talking to each other.
Baumstein says to also practice naming feelings, since children often don't have the words to describe their emotions. Help them learn to ask for help, something they may not be experienced at doing with someone unfamiliar like a new teacher, and teach coping skills to help with different emotions.
It's like closing their eyes, counting to 10, taking slow, deep breaths, using their senses to kind of bring them back and ground them in the present moment. These are things that can really calm the body, calm the mind.
Baumstein says prioritizing good quality sleep as well as reducing after-school screen time is also important and can make time for healthy things like physical activity and social connection.
Really empower them to start to take control and do things that make themselves feel better.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Abortions are rising in the U.S. even after the restrictive decision. Despite bans in the last 2 years, they averaged nearly 99,000 per month in the early year of 2024. The nonprofit We Count reports on abortion numbers since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The rise is driven by a surge in medication abortions, which increased 28% through telehealth. Now, here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. The overall property values in DeWitt County increased by 10% this year. And one of the top open professional rodeos in the state brings Lester Meyer to Cuero on August 9th and 10th. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
I'm sure you noticed the heat today. Right now, we're at 98 degrees. Looking at 105 is our heat index. How hot did it get? 98, that's your high for today. So we're pretty close to triple digits, wouldn't you say? So does it matter if it's 99 or 101? It's going to be hot, and we need to prepare for that this coming weekend. I know you want to get outdoors. It's just you got to respect the heat. We'll be talking about the numbers, and we'll take a look at what Debbie's going to do next. All that coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's here. It's the hottest part of the year. It'll be definitely here for about 7 days, and we're looking at triple digits coming in terms of cloud cover, and hardly anything out there. It's out over the Gulf waters, and all of Texas is under this big dome of high pressure that's going to make everybody in Texas a little bit on the sweaty side. Well, maybe not even that, because it's just going to be hot and dry. Some of the humidity that we had on the ground from the previous rains, well, that's evaporated away with all this heat. So we're looking at brilliant sunshine, very hot conditions, triple digits all the way to Amarillo. From here to Amarillo, it's going to be warm. So let's take a look at what Debbie is doing. Debbie is off the East Coast. If you're tracking it, here we are at 32.5 north, 79.1 west. The monitor's kind of small, but it's still got winds in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range, and it might even get up to 50 miles an hour as it moves back ashore. You can see the bands of rain still spinning around there, and it's not over with just yet. And the remnants are expected to go inland. Okay, so that means that North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and even Albany, New York, of all places, is going to get struck by a tropical storm, which then goes off into Canada. So this is going to be a long-term storm that's going to continue to bring problems. Now, it's not a wind issue. Again, it's the amount of rain they get, because even in New York State down to Virginia, they're looking at the 4 to 8 inch mark. So, you know, that's going to cause flooding problems. And Debbie is not done with them yet. You can see the band of rain expected to go right on up the eastern seaboard. We are stuck. We are stuck in low gear. We're going to be down here in low gear for at least 7 days. High pressure is over us, squeezing the atmosphere down, allowing Debbie to stay over on the East Coast, and that is going to continue through the next 7 days as high pressure actually expands out over the southeast. Now, it's on top of us, but as it expands over there, remember, they just went through a lot of rain, so it's going to be humid as all get out. And the dome is going to be stuck on top of us for quite some time. So the heat wave is definitely on. You can see all these counties in brown from Georgia all the way to Oklahoma and down into our area where we've got, triple digits right on through. So we do the best we can to stay cool. We're looking at your day planner for tomorrow, getting up to 96 in Port Lavaca. Sunny skies, wall to wall, no changes in the short term, and up to about 98 in Cuero. I wish I could tell you there was some news on the horizon that would change all this, but there isn't. And so we look at the 7-day forecast. It's pretty simple. High heat index tomorrow should be topping out at 110. Kind of like today, whatever you did to survive the day, that's what you got to do. Middle part of the afternoon, 1 to about 3 o'clock, noon to about 3 o'clock, you really got to take it easy in outdoor activities. But we'll be hovering right there at triple digits all the way through the weekend and into early next week, when we start seeing just a few little clouds rolling back in. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan that, we can put Crossroads Today right on your cell phone. We'll toss it over to Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And coming up next on 25 News Now 5, we're going to take a look at your stocks. Plus, why a common weed killer is now banned by the U.S. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow down 234 points, the S&P 500 down 41 points, and the Nasdaq down 171 points. Oil up $2.03, closing at $75.23 per barrel. Sales of Wegovy rose slower than expected in the second quarter. The Danish pharmaceutical company says it missed its estimates. The drop could be attributed to discount offers. Despite the drop in total sales, demand continues to exceed supply. The company says it will continue to cap the supply of starter doses to save for existing patients. The company has invested in nearly $7 billion in new manufacturing capacity to help with that demand. Now, the United States Environmental Protection Agency is removing a common weed killer, DCPA, from the market. It is used to control weeds in grasses and crops like kale and broccoli, which raises concerns of risks in pregnant women and their unborn babies. Such exposure can alter thyroid hormone levels, result in low birth weight, and causes other issues. This marks the first time in 40 years that the EPA exercised its suspension authority. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast, plus a look at the hobbit human that is baffling scientists. Plus, here's a look at World News Tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Tonight, the race for the White House is on. We're right there on the campaign trail. Plus, the deadly storm, tracking the devastation and where it's headed next. More Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, the most watched newscast on television.
An ancient tiny human species that lived in Indonesia until 50,000 years ago is baffling scientists. It's called the hobbit, and this species was discovered 21 years ago on Flores Island. Researchers are studying its evolution, how it crossed the ocean, and why it disappeared. One study suggests hobbits were a dwarfed version of early humans that shrank over 300,000 years ago due to limited resources. The study says that they were under 3.5 feet tall, and the remains were from an adult and not a child. So what you're looking right there is a child, an adult, my bad, not a child. So.
Quite amazing, a 3-foot human that long ago. You know, the question is, did he shrink on the way over, or did he shrink while he was there because resources were not as plentiful?
Yeah. Well, Mac, you're always asking all the right questions.
I'm just a curious kind of guy.
And you always have the right answers when it comes to this weather, because this heat is
weather
brutal.
I can do. This heat is brutal, and it's going to stay like this. You know, I know we can survive because we have air conditioning, but there's folks out there that got to do some work, got to get things done. I'm just telling you to respect the heat and don't overdo anything too exerting. In other words, don't be, running a mile at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just too hot, and even the puppies gotta watch out for their little paws. I know they need to go out and walk around, so take care of the puppies too. And don't leave anybody in the back seat, whatever you do. Looking at triple digits real close for the entire weekend and into the 90s even next weekend. So we're going to stay on the hot side because it is August.
All righty. Well, thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with Dave Amir is up next.